Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Open. We are here today on Friday, February 21st, officially the end of the week. It has been a long week and a fast week at the same time, but we are done for the week, and we are here now on Friday. Hope everyone has had a good week. We've got another basically 6-7 days left of February, so next week is going to be the final trading week, February 24th to the 28th, and then we get into the third week of March, which is, or sorry, the third month of the year, which is March, which I think is going to be kind of crazy that the year is moving so quick, but we are getting into March. Next week's really important because we got NVIDIA. We had a bunch of earnings yesterday, and we're going to be talking about the earnings that we had yesterday, the implications of those earnings, Rivian, Mercado Libre, Celsius, congrats to those that are in Celsius, Block, etc. But next week's the big one. Next week on the 26th, we get NVIDIA. And if NVIDIA can give us the juice, then hopefully Q4 2024 earnings can come to an end in the right way, and we can get ready to get into Q1 for 2025. So it's gonna be exciting to kind of see what we got. I am a little sick. You guys can probably tell from my voice. I have this towel with me that I'm gonna be using to deal with my sickness, wipe my nose a bit. It's I don't know. Like 2 days ago, it was a stuffy nose. Now it's a runny nose. I think I'm like getting through the motions, and it's gonna be gone soon. But yeah, I don't know how I got sick. I think it's just pure exhaustion in California. I mean, I wasn't sleeping much, was constantly traveling every single day. And I thought I caught up on my sleep Tuesday when I came back, but I guess not. So, I don't think it's bird flu. I hope it's not bird flu. That would not be the best. Ask your boss for a sick day. Dude, you guys are my boss. I was thinking about it, dude. I woke up at 7 a.m. and I was thinking, should I tweet? Hey guys, I can't make the market open. I was thinking about it, dude. I was shivering. I was like, maybe, but then I was like, no, you guys would fire me if I take a sick day. So we can't do a sick day. This is a Mits flu game. Yes, this is my flu game today. For those that don't know, Michael Jordan, he had a pretty epic flu game back in 1998. You guys would have def written me up. That's correct. All right, so let's get started. First of all, let's ask the question we ask pretty much every Friday. Where are you watching from? Where across the world are you consuming this content from? And let's see where everyone is all over the world, and then we'll get started with a bunch of headlines. We got some NVIDIA headlines this morning. Jensen saying some stuff. We got Alibaba's earnings that we got to talk about because Baba continues to do well. Celsius, obviously, the biggest winner of yesterday. Elon did a lot of talking at some conference at CPAC, and he was excited at this conference. One could argue he was overly excited, and he was one of, I don't even know how to describe it, bro, but Elon was just Elon yesterday, and he was like very kind of adamant about just not giving a you-know-what about anything and anyone. In fact, he changed his profile picture to someone holding a chainsaw with the Doge father in the background. So at this point, I think Elon doesn't care anymore, and you'll see in some of the clips the way he's talking that he really just does not care what people think. And so we'll get into those earnings as well, or not those earnings, but those comments from Elon, and we'll keep going from there. All right, what do we got? We have LA in the house. We got Myrtle Beach in the house with Scott. We got Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I love it. June from San Diego. Keg from Montreal. We got Porcupine TV from California. We got Don from Hong Kong. That is zero capital gain stacks. I didn't know that. I didn't know Hong Kong had zero capital gain stacks, but that's incredible. So them in Singapore and Belgium. Nice places with no capital gains tax. Suzanne from Panama City Beach, Florida. I love it. We got Alex from Sweden. We got Damla from London. Hopefully, I'll be visiting that in June. We got Milwaukee in the house. We got Mars in the house. We got Love from Israel in the house. I love it. Waco, Texas. Shout out to Whataburger. I haven't had that in so long, dude. Next time I go to Texas. The honey butter chicken biscuit. I remember I had it in 2014 from Whataburger. It was one of the best pieces of food ever. We got Miami Beach with Peter. We got the Philippines. We got Toronto. We got France. We got Pennsylvania. We got Berlin, Dominican Republic, California, Portugal, Stockholm, Bay Area, Slovenia, Sweden. It's just so cool every day to see people across the world. So freaking cool. Denmark, Paris, New York, Malaysia. When are you coming to Phoenix, Arizona? Hopefully soon, dude. Phoenix is very close to Vegas, so maybe we'll do a pit stop in Phoenix when we go to Vegas. Vegas is likely happening in October. I think we're doing that. October is going to be my birthday, so I think we're just going to do like a Vegas meetup, and whoever wants to come can come to the meetup, and I mean, I don't know. I'll be there for a couple days to celebrate the birthday, so we can probably do a bunch of things there down in Vegas. All right, cool. We got everyone across the world. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Armenia, Ohio, Israel, Tel Aviv, China, North Carolina. I love it. Absolutely incredible. All right, so let's get started. I think we'll get started with, well, actually, let's just take a look at what's happening in the pre-market, and then we'll keep going from there. So I think the biggest thing to discuss in the pre-market, and we'll go through some of the tickers that that took a beating yesterday. But I think the main thing right here is Celsius up 33%. It was really funny, dude. I was actually, Bay Ray, who's a big fan of Celsius. He's also a good friend of mine. He's probably not here right now, but I asked him a couple days ago. I think I texted him on Tuesday. I was like, should I buy 1,000 shares of Celsius before earnings? And he was like, I don't know. I'm like, well, you've been bullish on it. Should I do it? Like, I'm going to trust you if you say yes. And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, all right, fine. I'm not going to do it. And I'm happy for him because this thing went up 33%. And you know, if I had bought it, it would have been a pure gamble because I really don't understand much about the business. And I definitely didn't see them acquiring a company called Alani Nu, which is a women's energy drink. But they did that for 1.8 billion. And so I think that was the main headline. First of all, they beat on EPS, they beat on revenue. That was great. They beat by 3 cents on EPS, 5 billion on revenue. So they had a good earnings. And then they bought a company called Alani Nu for 1.8 billion. Originally, the stock tanked when that acquisition news came out. But then I guess the market kind of realized good earnings plus this acquisition is likely going to accelerate the consolidation of the energy drink market and the broader beverages market into Celsius's favor. So is Celsius out of the blue? I mean, are they going to be able to just naturally get rid of the competitive dynamics, which is why they've been downgraded over the past couple months? I don't think so, but this is a step in the right direction. And I guess the market is thinking $2 billion was not a steep price to pay. So 32%, it doesn't look like it's going to give this up. I think there might be some people that sell into the strength, but I think the far majority of the market is agreeing that this is a narrative re-rating on Celsius, and that's why it's getting some love right here. So Celsius, 33.81 up 32%. You guys were right on the poll yesterday. We said which stock is going to move the most in after hours, and Celsius was the one that moved the most. NVIDIA right here is up about 0.38%. We'll talk about some of Jensen's comments in a bit. Palantir, we'll talk more about them, but they're having a nice reversal. So 10:02 last night or in the morning yesterday was the intraday low across the entire market, and we can see that algorithmically. Robinhood was at 54.23 at 10:02. Now it's at 58.06. That's up 3.5%. Palantir was at 95.80. Now it's at 106. That's a nice reversal of about 6%. We had Alibaba, Rocket Lab that got down to 23.87. Now that's at 25.56. So at 10:02 yesterday, everything bottomed, at least for the week, hopefully. And we'll find out today if it's a real bottom for the week, because if we revisit those lows in this session, then we have some weakness, and we have some weakness that we probably need to be concerned about. If we are past those lows, which at least in the pre-markets is looking like we're healthily past those lows, then hopefully we can end the week actually green, and we don't have to worry about some of the lows that we put in yesterday, which also, you know, theoretically that could have been the dip. That could have been the dip. And if you took advantage of that, at least for today, you're green, and we'll find out how the rest of the month ends. But yesterday at 10:02 was kind of the time to take some opportunities if you wanted to take those opportunities, given they're playing out right now up on a reversal. NuBank right here down 8%. So NuBank had a crappy earnings in terms of their FX headwinds. The actual growth was really good, but this is why I haven't bought NuBank. The Brazilian markets are something I don't understand. I don't think selling puts on this thing at 10 or 11 bucks is that scary now that it's down 8%, and it made a nice base around this level a couple weeks ago, but I just don't know enough about the Brazilian markets. Rivian right here also down 8.38%. I think their gross profit margin guidance was not the best either, so they took a little bit of a hit yesterday after hours. So we had Mercado Libre, that's up 14%. They crushed earnings. They beat EPS by $5. I mean, that's insanity, dude. Beating it by $5 is insane. So they deserve to be up 14% right here. Celsius again up 33%. Rivian's down 8%. Block, they missed on like every metric: gross profit margins, operating income margins, cash app monthly actives, general EPS and revenue. Like they just kind of missed across the board. And I was talking with Steve about it this morning. He thinks that it's one of the best opportunities because the stock is getting incredibly cheap. I guess it's just a question of, you know, why is it getting that cheap? So Block right here down 9.8%. We'll see how the market takes it further. Maybe it's like a TDD where it continues to fall and there's not that much of a rebound, or maybe people buying and buy the dip. TTD right here now down 40% from those earnings. So really was not able to catch any momentum or a bid after their earnings last Wednesday. Dropbox down 7%. Innodata, this is small cap. A lot of you guys were talking about that, was up 6% on earnings, so that wasn't too bad. Texas Roadhouse basically flat. NuBank again down 8%, and then Booking Holdings, that was up 4% yesterday as well. So I think what we're seeing here is that the broader market and the broader earnings that we got were good. They were definitely not horrible. Again, 80% of companies are beating on their earnings. NVIDIA is going to be the really big one that we need to see if they can pull it off. But I mean, so far, Q4 earnings have been good. And if inflation continues to come down, which I think it will, then hopefully that creates the bull case that justifies some of the valuations that we're seeing right now. United Healthcare. So the DOJ is investigating United Healthcare, and they are investigating them for fraudulent practices in regards to their billing. We know what happened to the United Healthcare CEO a month ago, and obviously that was very tragic. Bill Ackman has kind of gone on a little bit of a, I wouldn't say activist moment, because he's not actually short. He actually responded to me this morning. I asked him, hey, are you short? He said no, just psychologically. Bill Ackman apparently doesn't short companies anymore. He used to be an activist short, where he would take a short position against a company that he thought was bad. But United Healthcare is down 13% right now in the pre-markets. And the reason they're down is because he believes that they have engaged in pretty dramatic fraudulent ways of billing customers. And that was the narrative that we were seeing a month ago for why people were getting upset with the company. Down 12% right here. They are a big component of the Dow Jones. That's why the Dow Jones right here is down about 0.5%, primarily off the backs of United Healthcare. So this one recovered a lot in the month of, towards the end of January going into February, got back to 500. And now it's right back down after this DOJ investigation. It was at 511 yesterday. Now it's at 438. And if we look at this year to date, it was at 553 before it collapsed. Now it's back to 438 in the pre-markets. I don't know if this is a buy the dip. A DOJ investigation is definitely not good. I would imagine that there's going to take some time. We're going to have to take some time to figure out if this DOJ investigation results in anything material. And maybe it's good that they're investigating them so they can't be billing in the way that they're billing, which Bill Ackman is claiming is incredibly predatory and fraudulent. But eventually, I guess we're going to find out what happens to UNH as well. Yeah, UNH. UNH is the ticker. United Healthcare is the one that's getting hit right now. Bitcoin is flirting with 100K. So Bitcoin, again, I've been saying it's been kind of boring navigating Bitcoin just because it's been sort of oscillating between 94 and 99, which actually, although it's boring, that's healthy, right? At least it's not tanking all the way back down to 70. Tom Lee thinks it's going to go back to 60 before it gets to 250. I think we're going to need to see some pretty bad liquidity issues in the macro to get Bitcoin to tank that badly, especially given how institutionalized it's become. But the fact that it's just holding these levels to me is actually pretty damn bullish, even if it's boring. And if we can make a run back to 100, I don't think that would be the worst thing in the world when it comes to Bitcoin either. Ironically, Robinhood as well, getting a little bit of move. Now, Bitcoin's up a little bit in the pre-markets, but Robinhood getting that 3.73% reversal right here. Jason was buying a ton of Robinhood yesterday. He is really consolidating his portfolio. It is now the #1 position in his portfolio over Tesla. And he just thinks that the speed of innovation that these guys are doing is just, astronomical. And he thinks that they're going to continue to get more momentum. So that's a bit of a reversal right here, up 3.73% in the pre-markets. Even though Bitcoin's not moving as much, Robinhood is getting some love. SoFi right now in the pre-markets is up 0.45%, 1563. So that's getting some momentum. Rocket Lab up 1.62%. I did sell some more puts on Rocket Lab yesterday at that $22 strike. You got Alibaba, that's up about 4%. Apple, that's at 245. Grab is actually up, I think, 2.82%. So Grab got upgraded by pretty much every analyst after their earnings. Bank of America upgraded them to 580. Barclays upgraded them to 650. Citibank upgraded them to 625. JP Morgan upgraded them to 560. Evercore upgraded them to 8. And then Deutsche Bank upgraded them to 7. So, I mean, usually when a stock gets, universal upgrades across I still have not found a downgrade or a neutral. I'm just seeing pure buy ratings across the street, and the stock still sells off. To me, that's just a broader question of okay, eventually the broader street wants to see the growth, but the analysts are ready to say that it deserves to be at a level that, they think their price target implies. And once the street gets that growth, which probably takes a couple quarters for Grab, then the stock price should follow as well. But this one right here, hopefully can make a base above $5. I mean, I know it ended yesterday at 478, kind of got taken down with the rest of the market. If we get a little bit of a market recovery, maybe we get back into that $5 range and then hold those levels as well. Will they acquire GoTo? You know, I was thinking about this last night. I was talking about it with someone. GoTo, again, is the Indonesian competitor that they were thinking of buying out. I listened to the earnings call again, and management didn't really deny it. They kind of just said we're in ongoing discussions and we're in, strategic initiatives like this ChatGPT response. Basically, they didn't want to say yes. They didn't want to say no. They legally can't say yes, and they legally, theoretically, can't say no. So to me, the broader hint outside of what management said is that they're not accelerating the buyback program. I mean, these guys have 6.1 billion in cash. And when you have 6.1 billion in cash, to me, that means you're going to do something with it. And if you're not buying back your stock, which would be the obvious move right now to deliver shareholder value, that means you have a different plan for that cash. And I think eventually we will find out what their plan is for that cash. But right now we don't have that plan. And so if that plan is to buy out their competitors or to buy out other small companies, then I think we just have to be kind of patient to see eventually how that plays out. So that's kind of the update on Grab. The last thing I'll say on Grab is I was going through their earnings again last night, just kind of deep diving into it and trying to understand it at a deeper level. And I missed their financial services growth. I just want to bring one thing to your attention in terms of the user growth here. It was pretty exceptional. And again, on the first earnings call, I didn't really catch this right here. They have 3 banks: Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia. So this is what they said on the earnings. In Singapore, they now have 172,000 users. That's up from 72,000. So they added 100,000 in a quarter. In Malaysia, they have 1 million users. That's up from 892,000. So that's up 108,000. And then in Indonesia, they have 2.8 million users. That's up from 1.8 million users in the previous quarter. So they have 4 million users across 3 banks that they launched basically in the past 12 months. Just insane growth. 60% of these customers came from the Grab ecosystem with very low acquisition costs. So I think one of the things the market doesn't understand that much about them, or maybe the market understands this, but they're waiting to really see the growth, right? It's not like the market doesn't get it. It's just the market's waiting to see it really result in higher EBITDA margins, is that this is a fintech. This is a fintech that's using their network effects to get people into the financial services part of the business, which is incredibly more high margin than deliveries and mobility. And once that scales, which you got to give it time to scale, but if it really starts to scale aggressively, given the underbanked population of Southeast Asia, which is roughly 400 million people, that is a massive TAM and a massive market to go after. So I think that is also another bull case for the company long term if they can execute against that thesis. Okay, let's take a look at what Elon said yesterday. So here's some clips of Elon being Elon. I think you guys will notice a certain vibe of him yesterday. It was kind of a vibe of I don't care and I'm just gonna have fun. So let's listen to some clips of what Elon said yesterday.
The actions that we're taking with the support of the president and the
okay, this volume is way too low. Hold on. Let me pull up a better clip of Elon. The volume is a little bit too low. Let me pull this up right here. Let me actually pull it up on YouTube. That's better. Some of these volumes are a bit too low on X when we try to listen to it. So Elon was at CPAC. Also, Malay was at CPAC, along with Zuckerberg. So you had a bunch of people having a bunch of photo opportunities while they were there. So yeah, here's a couple of moments from Elon at the conference.
Because they got an early start. And we're watching how they're devolving. And you're trying to save it from happening here.
No, I mean, in Europe, they put people in prison for memes.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, that's insane.
And they're collapsing. I mean, this society it's a collapsing society. It feels.
Wait, Hims is dropping? Hold on. What's going on? I wasn't looking at Hims. Hims? Oh my. Okay, hold on. Sorry, Elon. We got to cover Hims. What's going on? What's happening? 6% down. Let me see. Hims acquires US-based peptide facility. Okay, so they bought a company. That's why they're collapsing. Down 8%. I mean, look, typically when a company buys another company, their stock tends to get a little bit of weakness, obviously, because they're spending cash. So how much are they spending to do this, I guess, is the question. Back-to-back acquisitions, yeah. Down 6%. Hims acquires peptide facility. It'll strengthen their domestic supply chain, ensure consistent access to personalized medications for Americans, will allow exploration of peptide innovations in preventative health, metabolic optimization, cognitive performance, and recovery science. Deal closed in early February 2025. Isn't this good news? Why is this bad news? Also, what exactly? You guys might. I mean, I don't know. What is peptide? What is peptide? I feel like I've heard the word before, but what is peptide? What type of drug is that? Peptide is a short chain of amino acids linked by peptide bonds. They're essential for many physiological processes and biochemical reactions. It pumped at first and then it came down. It is not an ingredient to make mayo. Okay. But like, okay, so you guys think it's amino acids, but like, what's the practical use case of peptide? Like what drug is it used to make that people actually pay for? It's recovering a bit now. Now it's down 5%. It was down 10%. So not too crazy. It's connected to diabetes. It's a GLP-1 drug. GLP-1 is a peptide. Insulin is a peptide. Okay, let's ask ChatGPT. Let's ask Grok. Let's go to Grok 3. Let's ask it. What use cases do peptides have in the real world for drugs? Let's see. Dude, Grok is fast, bro. I was talking to someone last night who was a daily user of ChatGPT for the past 3 years, and even they really like understand LLMs very well because they've been using it every single day. And even that they are like, dude, Grok is a different animal. Okay, so insulin, it can be used to target to bind specifically receptors and proteins involved in disease processes. It's used for potentially cancer cells, antimicrobial agents, autoimmune and inflammatory diseases, pain management, metabolic and cardiovascular disorders, vaccine development. Okay, so there's a lot. So the fact that they're acquiring a peptide laboratory means that there's a bunch of different ways that they can use this. You know what HIMSS is turning into? It's kind of turning into this like I don't know, this ecosystem of medical technologies, right? And medical services. Like they have the subscription stuff and they have the GLP stuff, and they're acquiring these other companies. They acquired another company 2 days ago. I mean, like, they're becoming a pseudo Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, obviously at an incredibly smaller level, but it looks like that's what they're trying to do. And I think that's why the bulls get so excited about them, because it's like their runway and their trajectory, and then their growth, they're growing way faster than a lot of those companies, is something to definitely be excited for. And at a price of sales of 20, I mean, look, it's not as cheap as it was before, but it's definitely cheaper than a lot of the other companies that are out there trading at some of these levels. They want to diversify their products. They're bullish. Yeah. I mean, I think the diversification of this, I think the market never understood that HIMSS was going to go after these many different opportunities. Now, it doesn't prove that they're going to be successful at all these different opportunities, but the fact that they're going after them and they're not afraid to go after them, I think is also very exciting. So the headline is HIMSS and Hers acquires a peptide facility in California to shore up its supply chain for personalized medicine. That is the headline, and that's why the stock is moving here right now. Okay, cool. So let's get back to some of these Elon clips. There's a couple of them. Let me play this first one, and then we'll keep going from there.
I want to get into all of these different, into treasury and things like that, is that you're looking for personal information and you're trying to make more money.
Yeah.
I've never met anybody as rich as you that cared less about money in my life. Every time I hear a story about you, you're sleeping on a couch of some other guy in a city that you could buy the entire thing.
Yeah,
I don't think you care about money, do you?
No, actually, I mean, listen, like if I steal some Social Security, I can finally buy nice things.
Yeah.
You know?
and saying right now that the reason that you want to get into
it was one of those interviews where he was kind of just having fun and saying a bunch of different things. Let me get to a different part right here where he's talking about different things, but a lot of people noticed dude, I'm just gonna be honest, a lot of the takes were just like he was high during the interview. And I don't know if he was high or anything, but it was just one of those things where he was like, it wasn't a typical Elon interview. It was one of those things, maybe the environment made him, he was kind of with people that tend to like him, not hate him. So he felt a lot more comfortable or whatever, but it was definitely a different level of excitement that he had at this interview.
I would say that watching what you're doing with Doge is just that people love it. I mean, I've always looked at the government and I've always looked at the government and I've seen this big machine that, and you just know that they waste because they don't care. Nobody can, there's more money coming, they don't care.
Yeah.
You're cutting all this out. Everybody in this country knows that the government is full of waste, fraud, and abuse. And you're doing the work, and the Americans love it. Watching their reaction politically to this, I can't believe how bad they are at responding to this. I don't know how you're going to sit there.
Hims down 14%. Again, it looks like it's this acquisition news. I think this is kind of stupid for it to be down 14%. Obviously, it was up a lot this week, so market's taking some profits right here. But, I mean, down 14% after being up 150% for the year, not something you can really complain about. But, yeah, acquisition news not being seen as that bullish right now by the street.
And scream and complain because they're cutting waste out of the government and try to win another election. How do you try to win on that?
Well, at this point, I'm not sure how much of the left is even real.
Yeah.
You know.
How much was propped up by our money? You know.
Yeah. Like literally, you know, you see like these sort of fake rallies where there's like hardly any people, and the media will like frame it and like, you know, get all 6 people, you know, in the frame, but there's like nobody else is there. Like just it doesn't have popular support. But then you learn that like there's hundreds of billions of dollars going to these so-called NGOs. And it's your tax dollars that are funding things that are fundamentally anti-American.
And they're propping up their narrative.
Yes.
A lot of that government money has been propping up a left that I don't think is as strong as they made it seem.
In fact, a massive amount of your tax dollars is going to legacy media companies.
Yes.
Directly from the government.
The government wants to take over media.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah. That's why we have X.
Yeah, and
that's why you spent $44 billion. I mean, that's a lot of money.
I mean,
more than it was probably worth. But there was a message.
Freedom is priceless.
Priceless. Yeah.
And then this is Elon talking about Putin.
Russia. There's a huge push from the
administration. Yeah. People like sometimes like
to end this war.
Say like, you know, I'm a bought asset of Putin.
Yeah.
I'm like, he can't afford me.
Yeah. I think you're worth more than Russia.
Think about it.
I like that. So you're trying to end a war. Ending a war always means you have to compromise. You have to negotiate.
It's one of those things, dude. I'll put the link for you guys to watch the full video if you want to watch it right here in the chat. But it definitely felt, I mean, wearing the glasses indoors and just the vibe he had, it was one of those things where it kind of felt like he's either high or he just doesn't care anymore. And he's just like chilling. So Elon was on Air Force One yesterday with Trump. I mean, he is obviously very committed to this Doge thing and making it happen. I don't think that's necessarily bearish for Tesla, but obviously, you know, you've got people that are thinking that he's not spending as much time near Tesla. Tesla right here up a little bit in the pre-markets, 355. You guys know my new philosophy on Tesla. Probably going to buy another 10 shares of Tesla today. For me, it's just based on what I saw with Figure. We saw the video yesterday. I think Tesla's a buy, and it might go up, it might go down, but I think when it runs, it's going to run, and it's going to be hard to get it back at these prices after FSD and robotics ends up becoming true. So that's my new philosophy on Tesla. It really has nothing to do with Elon. It just has to do with the overall thesis playing out. But Elon is Elon, and he definitely cares a little bit more about Doge right now than Tesla. Hims right here down 18%, really getting knocked badly, dude. I don't think it deserves to be down 18%. That's a bit aggressive. 18, now 19%. Is anyone buying this dip right here? Are the Hims bulls stepping in? I mean, this would be a good day for it to have a reversal to prove that like the Hims bulls are in. Now the shorts are probably loving this right now. The short float is still almost 30%, right? So they probably are using this acquisition reason as a reason to double down on the short. But I don't think that's a reason to short. I mean, we saw this with Celsius. Celsius fell 10% after they acquired a company, but that was not a reason for it to really get hit. Celsius right here now up 35.6% in the pre-markets. It was super extended. It was super extended. I don't know if this was, it seemed like Palantir, right? Palantir was extended as well, but did Palantir deserve to fall because of the freaking the Pentagon cuts? Not really. Also, by the way, it looks like the Pentagon cuts aren't even happening anymore. So it looks like that headline is not going to be something that really matters. Here's Pete Hegseth on the Pentagon cuts and how it's not exactly what the media reported.
In the news is our work reorienting the budget that we inherited. We inherited that budget 1 month ago from the Biden administration. We are refocusing, that's a key word, our existing budget away from the Biden priorities that, frankly, were all over the map to President Trump's priorities of building a lethal fighting force. The media wants to call these exclusively cuts, but it's the opposite, of course, as always is the case. I've got the memo right here. It's clear as a bell. Now, beginning right away, we are pulling around 8% or $50 billion from the Biden budget. We're planning, this is planning for this year, that we will move away from woke Biden era non-lethal programs and instead spend that money on President Trump's America First, peace through strength priorities for our national budget. First of all, remember, this is all planning. We're asking the services to plan. So it's not a cut. It's refocusing and reinvesting existing funds into building a force that protects you, the American people.
So kind of reframing the narrative around the budget cuts, which, I mean, look, could be a reason why Palantir recovers as well, if that was the reason that Palantir fell. I refuse to believe that the Pentagon cuts was the headline that got Palantir to fall. Given what we saw yesterday with the macro sell-off across the entire market, I think it was just market needed to have a little bit of a pullback, and they used whatever headline they could, and they took everything down yesterday, including Robinhood, Nvidia, etc. And now we're getting a little bit of recovery right here. So if that was never going to actually happen, which I think most of us believe the Pentagon cuts, even if they did happen, would be bullish for Palantir, then that's probably not a reason why Palantir deserved to sell off. Nvidia right here is at 140. So Jensen issued some statements today at a event, and he talked about how the investors that sold off Nvidia got it wrong. So here's what he said. Speaking at a DDN event, NVIDIA CEO emphasized that DeepSeek's innovations energize the AI world, but investors overlooked a key point: AI's growing reliance on post-training models, which still demand NVIDIA's computing power. Huang pushed back on the idea that weaker chips powering DeepSeek's R1 model diminish NVIDIA's relevance. He said, from an investor perspective, there was a mental model that the world was pre-training and then inference. Obviously, that paradigm is wrong. He stressed that while pre-training remains critical, post-training, where models learn to solve problems, is the future. And as post-training methods grow and diversify, so will the need for NVIDIA's compute power. It is so incredibly exciting. The energy around the world as a result of R1 becoming open sourced, incredible. So anyone who bought the dip kind of got it right, which is that R1 is going to make models more effective and make the cost of training models cheaper, which means you're going to need more demand for NVIDIA chips, essentially is what Jensen said. Yes, he has an incentive to say that. Obviously, he's talking his book because he wants to make sure NVIDIA chips stay in demand. But logically, I do think it makes sense. I don't think it's intellectually incongruent with the argument around needing more chips. So there you go. NVIDIA back at 140. If we get a good earnings, I think we see 160. I have still not sold any covered calls on NVIDIA. I think I feel more comfortable if this stock gets to like at least 155, 160 to start selling covered calls. I feel like selling them here, it's just scary because I think NVIDIA can really run if they issue a strong guidance for 2025, and obviously they crushed this quarter. So I'm just holding on to the shares and kind of seeing how this one plays out. SMCI is up 2.23%. The 10K is not out yet. I think they're getting kind of close. I think by 25th is what? Tuesday. So by Tuesday, we need to see that 10K. I hope it's out by Tuesday. If it's not, we're going to see some weakness. But if it is, then hopefully it doesn't matter. The 8K is out. Okay, cool. So that is a difference from the other form that people were looking for. But all right, at least the 8K is out. So that gives me confidence that the 10K will be out then, dude. I mean, like it's hard to imagine that it wouldn't be out. Someone said, I just got into HUD yesterday. I don't hate that. I think that dip was not a horrible opportunity. Yes, we talked about the HIMSS news. Are we still down on HIMSS? We are down 15%. All right, so we're getting a little bit of recovery. It was down 19, now it's down 15. Dow Jones is down. United Healthcare is down after a DOJ investigation. Rocket Labs up 1.3. NVIDIA's flat. Mercado Libre up 12%. Baba up 5%. Apple is flat, but they are green, up from 220 from a couple weeks ago. Reddit took a little bit of a beating yesterday, down 7.5%. That's a little bit green in the pre-markets. Microsoft, again, that new chip they released, it's cool stuff. I think the street still doesn't know how to navigate it. All the quantum names got a bit of a pump once that news came out. D-Wave in particular yesterday got a bit of a pump. It was up 14%. Right now it's up 3%. IONQ's up 3%. Rigetti's flat. And then quantum computing is down about 2.6%. S&P 500 still at all-time highs, along with the NASDAQ. So that hasn't really changed, even with the Mag 7 being weak being weak this year. Amid, someone asked a great question that I've been wondering forever. Why do you use Webull instead of Robinhood? So I answered this question before. Robinhood's legend charts, if you're referring to why I stream with Webull, it's just not good. And I literally told Vlad this to his face. I was like, you guys need to like make it more, like if I pulled up Legend right now, you wouldn't be able to even see the quote of the ticker. Like they don't have anything as basic as like you see the 2553 on Celsius in red. Like they don't even have that. When Jose and I streamed NVIDIA earnings last time, which we'll be doing again on Wednesday next week, I tried using Legend to stream NVIDIA. There's to like 19,000 people. And everyone in the chat was like, what stock is this? What are we even looking at? Because it just wasn't, like it wasn't user-friendly enough to even see the dynamics of the stock going up and down in relation to what its ticker was or in relation to what its price was. So I think they'll update that and change that. Now, granted, they're not making it for streamers. They're making it for people that are like trading on it every day. So I don't think they're optimizing it for that. I think eventually they will, but it's probably not a priority right now. So that's why I just use Webull because it's easier to stream with. Now, Robinhood Legend, if you went through the quarter, and I still haven't wrote up my full Q4 analysis from it, but they did 50 million in revenue from Legend. It's on a run rate of 50 million bucks, which is incredible because they launched it 5 months ago. So the fact that Legend's already producing revenue, index options created $15 million of revenue for them. It does seem like they have the opportunity or the network effects and the user base to launch new lines of businesses and then monetize them immediately and have that become accretive to the broader business, which is why I think the dip is viable as well. We got 7 minutes until the market opens. NVIDIA is really stuck at 140. We need today 145. I don't know if we get to 145 today, but yes, it is stuck at 140 and it's been kind of consolidating there. NuBank, this is an interesting one. I was thinking of like, hey, is this a buy the dip? I just feel like if I buy the dip on this, it's purely buying it based on its price action, not buying it on its fundamentals because I don't know enough about the fundamentals. Some of the charts I saw yesterday, though, are crazy, dude. Like NuBank's revenue growth, their user growth, their bank deposit growth, it is just insane. They have over 100 million users. The company is firing on all cylinders, but you got Brazilian headwinds. And those Brazilian headwinds from a currency perspective make it tough to imagine this thing is going to go up as easily. Also, this thing is like Grab, dude. They have 4 billion shares outstanding. I don't know what their institutional float is. I know Grab is about 75%, which is very good. But NuBank's not going to be a double as easily as some people think. Because for it to even get to, $20, you're definitely going to need a ton of volume coming in. And so I think people are going to have to wait to see if that ends up playing out. Yes, the SEC dropped litigation against Coinbase. That did happen as well. And that's why Coinbase is getting some love right here, currently up about 4%. Brian Armstrong actually was on CNBC. He was doing a bit of an interview, and he talked about some of the benefits of what has been going on with Coinbase. Let's listen to a little bit of that right here. I think their earnings puts this thing over 300, but Street disagrees right now. But the SEC dropping their lawsuit is definitely bullish for Coinbase.
Conversations you had with them.
Yeah, well, this was a long process. And, I think what they realized is that they were going to lose badly. And I have to give a lot of credit actually to this new administration that's come in, and Paul Atkins, some of the existing commissioners like Uyeda and Peirce. I think they're in the process of reforming the SEC and trying to clean up some of these actions where the SEC really painted outside the bounds of the law in the past. That was clear to some of the folks in the SEC at the time, and I think it's clear to the folks that are in charge now. And so I got to give them a lot of credit. They're coming in, and I hope that they'll dismiss all the bogus cases, frankly, and it'll be a domino effect for the rest of the industry.
In terms of how this is all going to work in practice, what's the next step in the process? So do the commissioners have to vote?
Yeah, what we're told is that next week the commissioners will vote on it. It seems to be a formality at this point, but the staff they're telling us they're recommending to the commissioners that this be fully withdrawn. And I want to be clear, this is not a settlement where we pay some fine and admit some wrongdoing. This is just they're fully withdrawing the case. And so we're not changing anything about the business. We're not paying a single dollar as a fine, which I believe is quite unprecedented in SEC history.
So Coinbase won. Coinbase won. They beat them. And it looks like Trump's new SEC is not really going to prosecute some of these crypto companies that much anymore. We did have one headline yesterday. Ryan Cohen, CEO of GameStop, now owns 7 million shares of Alibaba, worth about $1 billion. Here's Dan Ives discussing and talking about why that matters for the broader tech sector in China.
The news about Ryan Cohen, we're looking at those numbers from Alibaba, and you think that's the leading AI, end up being the big winner in China in terms of AI, and maybe Ryan Cohen is seeing the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be the big winner when it comes to AI in China. And I think, especially, our view, Apple and Alibaba, they're going to partner up. I mean, that's going to be Cupertino's partner in China probably in May. So they're really in a position of strength. You look at Cohen's bet, I think it's the right bet, because as we're starting to see sort of China tech awaken, Baba's really leading this. And I can tell you, I'm here in Hong Kong, and there's just huge bullishness for Baba, as well as just what's happened from an AI perspective.
It's going to be across the board with the cloud operations, e-commerce, customer-focused AI. They're spending more in the next 3 years than they did in the last 10. So everything and it's all based on not necessarily China's economy or relations with the United States, just based on the momentum of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I mean, look, clearly, I mean, DeepSeek was the first shot across the bow. But I think what you're seeing with Alibaba, it's really about the platform. I mean, it's no different than Microsoft, what we see with Alphabet, Amazon. I mean, Baba's in a massive position of strength. I mean, you'll see others, Baidu, Tencent, and others. But I mean, this was a huge inflection point quarter. And I think more and more, whether it's a decoupling or ultimately some sort of more, globalization of AI, there's going to be winners in China, just like there's winners in the US, but we are seeing just a massive spending wave take place in China. And Alibaba, they're really the ones with the trophy case right now.
You think Ryan Cohen and his involvement has anything to do with the 15% move today? Can he do it to Alibaba like he does it with some of the meme stocks?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's obviously him sort of doubling down on Baba is a good thing, because I think it does just speak to just broader, I think what we're seeing in terms of the swirls from an investor perspective. And I think what Cohen sees, it used to be activism, right, in terms of, what he was looking for. But I think now it's just this, if you're going to play the China AI story, Baba continues to be the best way to play. I mean, we think 500 billion could be the sort of base case valuation as this plays on. And then obviously there'll be questions about, what does it even mean for GameStop? Do they try to make some bet, when it comes to, the broader view, especially with Apple and Baba definitely walking down the aisle when it comes to AI.
All right, here we go. We got 30 seconds until the market opens. Again, guys, I am sorry for a little bit of low energy and my voice. I don't know how I got sick, but there is a little bit of sickness in me. So hopefully over the weekend, we get that out of the system. Volunteer Mike and Dwayne Chang, thank you for becoming channel members. Really appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everyone, for joining on this lovely Friday morning as we end out the week. I deeply, deeply appreciate it, and I do not take it for granted. It is now 9:30, and the stock market is once again open. All right, wake your ass up. Here we go. Palantir is up 1.18%, 107.43 as we get into the market open. SMCI, 60.42. That's up 2%. The Qs, 538. That's up. Grab is at 510. All right, Grab getting some momentum right here, up 6.48%. So not too bad. Grab right here, 510 currently as we get into the market open. Robinhood, 57.07. That's up 1.8%. So Robinhood getting a little bit of a reversal from the downside effect that it had yesterday when it was at 54 at the very bottom. Coinbase, 265, that's up 3.5%. The SEC is not suing them anymore, which is good. CrowdStrike is getting investigated. I think one of you guys said in the chat, that's why that's down about 1.5% as we get into the market open. Palantir right here, 108.29, up another 2%. If we can get above 110, Jason was talking about yesterday from a technical perspective, that's very bullish, reclaiming that 110 level. So hopefully we can get there. So we're going to see that later throughout the day. HIMS is down 19%. HIMS is down 19%. Why is HIMS down 19%? They are down 19% because they are acquiring a peptide facility. That is the headline that came out this morning. I don't know if that justifies being down 19%. We don't have any details on the acquisition itself, but Street, at least for now, doesn't like it. Where's Celsius? Celsius up 30%. Congrats. If you got Celsius, congrats. Now, here's the question. If you own Celsius in the chat, are you buying or not? Or sorry, are you selling or not? Are you selling or not when it comes to Celsius? Grab right here, still holding 7%. So Grab getting some love. Robinhood right here, 57.27. UNH is down 10%. They're getting investigated by the DOJ. NVIDIA, again, 138 to 140 is kind of where it's been sitting at, but down about 0.5% at 139. Rocket Lab's up 2%. Elf is up 2.4%. Surf Air Mobility is up 5%. Mercado Libre up 10%. They deserve it. They had a great earnings. Alibaba up another 5%. GameStop CEO has bought 7 million shares of Baba. He has a $1 billion stake. GameStop right here up about 0.5%. SoFi is down 0.5% on the day. Oscar Health, I know a lot of you guys have been talking about that one. That's up about 2% as we get into the market open. Enphase is up 0.5%. Nike, Bill Ackman did buy more Nike as of last quarter. So Nike right there at 77.75. It bottomed at around 68. Walgreens is up 0.33%. Dutch Bros is up 0.5%. Uber 81.56. That's up 0.5%. Celsius now up 31%. CrowdStrike down 2%. NuBank getting hit down 11% on the day. Most of you guys in the chat say you're holding on to your Celsius. Huh? All right. We got some Celsius believers right here. A lot of you guys are not saying that you are taking profits right here. And you're holding on. Grab at 7.45. So why is Grab move? Oh, we hit 529 at one point. Wow. Yeah, we hit 530. Look, we got a bunch of upgrades, so I guess that's what's moving it. I mean, look, I thought the quarter was good. I think the quarter deserved some momentum. I don't think the quarter was phenomenal. I definitely don't think the quarter deserved for them to go back to 470. I think they deserve to create a base at around 550. I mean, this stock was 570 after Q3 earnings. Q4 was better than Q3. So it seemed kind of silly that it would go all the way back down. But I don't know. I think the upgrades by JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citibank, Evercore, Barclays, all of these guys are probably allowing it to catch some momentum right here, up 7%. 7 million shares have been traded in 3 minutes. That is a bit odd. Grab doesn't get that much value or volume that quickly. So you do have a lot of either new bidders coming in, maybe institutions, but that one's getting some momentum. SMCI 62, that's up 5%. It was at 66 yesterday, so that's getting close to its all-time highs. Palantir still holding on to 108. Tesla goes red, 354. GameStop 27.19. Celsius 32.54. And then HIMS, wow, 22% down. My goodness. That is bad. All right, who's buying the HIMS dip? Who's buying the HIMS dip? D-Wave, Quantum, that's up 17%. So shout out to those that are in the Quantum names. Those are definitely getting some love. HIMS is now down 24%. That is a bit aggressive. Quantum, D-Wave's up 4%. IONQ's up 14% or 4%. Rigetti's up 4%. And then Qubit is flat. QUBT is flat on the day. HIMS also down on the semi-glued shortage. Yeah, so I saw that headline as well. I guess that could be another reason why it's getting a hit. Now down even more than 24%. HIMS is down because semi-glued shortage is resolved. Okay, so if I'm not wrong, that means that there's less demand for HIMS's product, right? Is that the conclusion? If the shortage is over, that there's less demand, so people are not going to need HIMS's product as much. I mean, if that's the conclusion, I can imagine why HIMS is getting a hit. NVO is up. Interesting. So Novo Nordisk actually up on that shortage news, whereas HIMS is down. Eli Lilly is flat. Wow, HIMS down more than 25%. Oh my. It means there's more supply. Yeah, okay, so there's more supply, which means there's less of a need for people to go to HIMS, right? Because they can get it from other places as well. Except they order by mail and lower price. Shortage is resolved as a nothing burger for HIMS. So the HIMS bulls will argue that the shortage is a nothing burger because HIMS has a unique kind of way of delivering those products, aka their e-commerce subscription service model, which I think is a fair bull point. But I guess from a market supply and demand perspective, they're interpreting that as the moat of delivering those products is not going to be as useful if there's just not as much demand because the shortage is over. Which is why I think it's tanking it down 25%. I wonder if we see some unusual option flows from yesterday of people buying puts, because this seems like news that someone would have known about. It seems hard to imagine this is news that someone would not have known prior. NuBank, wow, 14% down. Goodness gracious, dude. Holy crap. That one's getting hit. Celsius is halted. Huh? Well, it had a red candle from 35 to 31. How did it get halted from 35 to 31? That's not enough to halt a stock. That's weird. I guess maybe the velocity of the sell-off from 35 to 31 halted it. That's weird, dude. You would think that's just a general earnings kind of volatility of people selling into strength, but it got halted right there. Nvidia's pumping 141.4. Getting above 142 would be nice. Let me check resistance at 142. Where is Palantir? Still at 108. So Palantir holding on to those levels. Robinhood getting hit. Robinhood losing its momentum. It was up at 58. Now it's at 56.50. So not really holding on. SoFi getting hit as well. A lot of things kind of going green. Starting to take a little bit of the opposite direction. Or sorry, going red. Nvidia 142 is 338,000 shares. 338,000 shares. Archer, where's Archer? This one's been volatile all week as well. Archer is up 2.5%. HIMS, again, still down 24%. NuBank down 15%. Dude, was it that bad? Are the Brazilian currency headwinds that bad, dude? Holy crap. Like, XYZ is, oh, I forgot about Square. Square had a crappy earnings yesterday. How bad are they? Yeah, they're down 11%. Yeah, the market's not that rewarding, bro. You have a crappy earnings, market's going to take you down. SMCI still up 3.3%. They did file their 8K, so that's a catalyst for SMCI. Grab holding above $5 right here. Robinhood's up 1%. UNH down 7%. A little recovery. Trade Desk down another 2%. Rivian's down 7%. Baba's up 4%. S&P's flat. Apple is flat as well. All right, what dips are you guys buying? Is anyone buying NuBank here? Anyone buying Rivian? Anyone buying Square? I mean, companies with not horrible earnings, but definitely not great earnings, getting hit about 7 to 10% across the board. Celsius still halted. I guess the number of shares that got traded. Volume is 9.28 million. The average volume for Celsius, let me take a look at that. So they had 9 million in 5 minutes. Average volume for Celsius is usually, wow, the average volume for Celsius is 10 million, and they had 9 million shares traded in the first 5 minutes. So yeah, that's definitely some added volatility and a ton of volume coming in. Davis said he bought 750 more NuBank shares. All right, NuBank right here, 1150, down 14%. NASDAQ just went red. Yeah. See, so now I want to see if we hit the 1002 lows that we hit yesterday, or if we can hold on. Palantir would have to fall pretty aggressively to get back to 98.50 if we get back to those lows, which I'm a bit skeptical of, but it could happen. 107.9. It's definitely letting go of its 108 level that it was opening at. Rock Lab up 1.3, Elf up 3%. Elf got hammered over the past couple months, so it makes sense that Elf's getting a little bit of relief. Broadcom's down 0.9, Tempest is down 0.7, Shake Shack down 5%. Carnival Cruise continues to get hit after yesterday when Howard Lutnick said that they should tax the cruise lines. Unity Software is up 5%, and Novix is up 6%, and Novix getting some love. Meta back above 700. Someone bought like $1 million of 0-day expiring calls yesterday for today for Meta to be above 697. So at least for now, those calls are in the money, but Meta's got to hold that 697 level to get there. Celsius unhalted. All right, let's see. Where does it go? So up 22%, unhalted. Let's see if it continues to decline and if people take profits. A lot of you guys said in the chat you're not going to take profits, but other people in the street, I guess, are taking some profits. Someone bought 50 more new debit spreads. What are the strikes on those debit spreads? Are you in the 20s on those? HIMS is down because of the semaglutide shortage, but also they're acquiring a peptide facility. So those two pieces of news together is what's taking HIMS down. 49.92. Wow, 25%, dude. Goodness gracious. Where's SMCI? SMCI 60.89. So that gave back 62. Nvidia barely holding on to 140. And then Palantir goes red. It's not that encouraging, the price action today. Now, granted, it's Friday, and it probably shouldn't be that encouraging because Friday, you tend to get a sell-off, options, expiration, all that stuff. If we can even hold flat, I think that would be good for this Friday. Historically, second half of February tends to kind of suck, so that's seasonal as well. Grab kind of holding on to $5 right here, up about 4.3%. Tesla 351. Tesla just giving back all of their gains. And then NuBank continuing to get hit, down 15%. So NuBank, Rivian, Square now down 11%, and HIMS being the biggest losers of today. Today's witching day? Today's quad witching day? I didn't know that. Well, if today's quad witching day, yeah, that's another reason we saw some volatility. I didn't know that. I felt like I should have known that. If that's the case, then yeah, like that means kind of explains over the past week why there's been some volatility. Okay, we are definitely seeing some different pain right here. NuBank now down 15. Celsius kind of recovering at 25, but it was up 35%. Palantir definitely going red, 105.6. Got to get 110. Got to get 110 to get back to the levels we want to be healthily above. Apple just went red. Okay, where's the Mag 7? Let's see. Mag 7 is red except Meta, which has just been a champ. Google going green. Amazon, which has been hit badly since earnings. It was going from 240 to 220. Nvidia just going red. Tesla going red. Apple going red. Microsoft going red. Meta and Google staying slightly green. INOD, this was another small cap that had earnings yesterday. They were up 20%. Yeah, I mean, these guys have 30 million shares outstanding. So if you have any good catalysts with that small of a float, it can definitely help. Not quad witching day. That is the third Friday of the quarter. Oh, so that's next week then. No, that's in March. Yeah, that's in March. That's not today. Yeah, that's going to be like March 21st. Yeah, that's not today. Okay, so that's not the reason. APLD, is that one going up? Applied Digital, that one is, wow, up 20%. There you go. That one also, only 200 million shares outstanding, 30% short. Looks like that's getting a catalyst right here as it's green. Is Kramer talking about Palantir? Let's see. Is he talking about Palantir right now? Kramer did say Palantir would be back. He did tweet that yesterday. That's when Palantir went to 95.80 when he said they would be back. All right, so I guess we're red across the board in certain names. NIO, look, I've never loved NIO. I would rather just buy Tesla, but I know that people like it from a China perspective. 450 right here, that's up 4%. NIO's really been stuck between 3 and 5 for like a good year. So as a trading vehicle, it's not been horrible. As an investment, not necessarily been the best. Rivian now down 5%. NVIDIA down 0.16. CrowdStrike down 1.85%. Palantir just slightly going green. Grab as well, holding above $5. And then Tesla at 351 on the day. It's a major options expiration day, just not quad. Yeah, I think that's fair. 221, that's today, right? 221. Yeah, 221 was one of those expirations that's been around for a while. So these are options that people bought probably months ago that are expiring now today. Hoodie 56.85, holding on. Let me know if you bought the hood dip yesterday. I did not buy the hood dip yet. I want to. I know I bought it for my sister. I bought 100 shares for her at like 55.30. So I didn't get the absolute bottom, but at around 55.30, I bought 100 shares for her. But I did not buy the dip here yet. I just bought a $20 call at $10 for June 2027. Can ponder on why I put a limit at 2 and it went through, giving me a 42% return in a few seconds. Marcio, is that for NuBank? Is that the stock that you bought the call on? But yeah, sometimes when you put in that limit order, it gets you the right price, gets you the right fill, and then if the stock moves, boom, you can get up very quickly on those options. Celsius halted again. Wow. Holy crap. Volume is 13 million. This is 40% higher volumes than Celsius sees every day on average, and it's happening in 15 minutes. So Celsius definitely getting the brunt of some excitement after those earnings. Bought more HIMS anew. Bought 100 hood. All right, so you guys are doing some buying. You guys are definitely doing some. Let me check the premiums on NuBank right now for the puts. Let's see that. I mean, if we had to own it at $10, I don't think that would be a scary spot to own it at. So NuBank, let's go a month out, March 21st. Yeah, I mean, like, it's just not good premiums, dude. Not at $10. 1050. What's the premium? Yeah, I mean, you really got to do that $11 put if you want a good premium. $11 for March 21st would get you about, in terms of percentage return, about 3%. $11 March 21st, which I don't hate. I don't hate that. But $10, there's not going to be much premiums there. NuBank obviously isn't also that liquid when it comes to the options market. NVIDIA right here, 140. Pouncer goes green again. CrowdStrike is down. Grab holding on to 5. Tesla 352, and then Pouncer 108, getting a reversal from that 105 low that we had. Hims is kind of recovering. Where is Hims? Hims is 54.77. Yeah, it was down 25. Now it's down 17. I don't think Hims deserves to be down this much. I don't know. Their price of sales just got cut in half because of a 20% decline. I don't know. I don't think this is news that should take it down that much, but it is still green or still red on the day. Quantum names are up. Again, the Microsoft news definitely got them up. Yeah, the premiums suck on NuBank, right? They're just not that good. D-Wave is flying. The quantum names are moving. Again, off that Microsoft news. We also have some new CARP. I'll show you guys. He did an interview yesterday, so we can watch a little bit of that as well. Spec portfolio. All of the spec is green. SoundHound's up 4%. Archer's up 4%. Big Bear's up 0.5%. D-Wave again up 10.79%. Oklo is flat. MicroStrategy's up. GameStop's up. Faraday Future's up. Big Bear's up. Kohler's up. And then the other quantum names are green as well. IREN. Oh, let's look at the Bitcoin miners. See how they're doing. IREN right here is up 3%. So IREN is green. HIM's now down 18%. Bitcoin names outside of Coinbase, which got the SEC lawsuit to be a catalyst for them. CleanSpark's up 2%. Cypher's up 5%. Marathon's up 1%. Marathon's been in the doghouse, right? I mean, Marathon's just like, it was at 30 at one point when they announced their 0% coupon stuff, and then it's just got hammered all the way back down to 16. Riot right here at 1.4%. Hood 57.15. MicroStrategy 327, and then Cypher at 637 on the day as well. Dropbox, what's their moat these days? You know, that's a good question, dude. I was surprised Dropbox is still a public company. I mean, I use Dropbox here and there. They're down 10%. They beat on their estimates. I guess guidance was a little weak. But I don't know. There's some companies where you're just like, how are these companies public? $8.8 billion company though. So this seems like an acquisition target to me. This seems like big tech would buy them out just for a little bit more inorganic growth if they could get it from a Dropbox. But I don't think a ton of people use it as much anymore. Archer getting a little bit of a bid as well right here, 1044. That's up 3%. That is up 3%. Debit spreads on NuBank expiration 2027 looks juicy. All right, let's run through a couple examples. Let's see, because on a day like today is when the prices get cheap enough. So if we go to 2027 and we do NuBank's at what? $11. Let's do 15 and 20. That's our spread. We buy the 15, we sell the 20. Yeah, that's a 5x if it gets to 20 in 2 years. So double in 2 years. If we go a little bit more aggressive, we buy the 22, we sell the 25. That is a 10x in 2 years if NuBank can get to 25. That's more than a double though in 2 years. It would take some action for that to play out. Celsius is open. All right, Celsius, let's go back to them. Celsius 27%, recovering a bit, even though they're down from 35%. This one getting halted 2 times in a row was not on my bingo cards. I did not expect it to get it to halt 2 times in a row. Dropboxes for files purchased on private Snapchats. Dude, does anyone really use Dropbox? Like, do you store files? I think I have files from like 10 years ago on Dropbox, but I don't think I pay for it. Elon says Google and XAI are the only real players. Yes, I saw this today. So Elon throwing some shade again at OpenAI. He posted this when someone asked about who are the main players when it comes to AI. So someone said, wow, Grok is actually very good. Someone says it's insanely good. I strongly believe the race for number 1 will be between OpenAI and XAI, not Google and DeepSeek. And Elon says XAI and Google. So Elon's totally discounting OpenAI from the discussion. Also, we did have some Tesla updates in regards to Tesla and Nissan. So news broke by the Financial Times this morning that Nissan and Tesla are looking at a certain collaboration together. So a high-level Japanese group led by former Tesla board member Hiro Mizuho and including a former prime minister is going to try to persuade Tesla to invest in Nissan. The group believes that Tesla might be interested in acquiring Nissan's manufacturing plants in the US. That came out this morning. Elon responded and he said the Tesla factory is the product. The Cybercab production line is like nothing else in the automotive industry. So not sure if he's actually going to invest in Nissan, but Elon's very, very optimistic about Cybercab ultimately being one of those production behemoths that the world has never seen before when it comes to their ability to get them out and going. And look, June and Austin is when they said they said in June they're going to launch robotaxis in Austin. So June's coming up. I mean, it's going to be March soon. We got a couple months away, so I would imagine we're going to get some updates pretty soon. Grab right here at $4.99 on what is going to happen with Tesla and robotaxis unsupervised in that Austin region. And if it works well, maybe they expand to California and they keep going from there. Mercado Libre giving up its pump as well. It was up 14%. Now it's up 6%. Still up, but not up as much. Alibaba still pushing. S&P down 1/3%, but Alibaba up 6% on the day and not slowing down. What else do we have? Where's United Healthcare? That one still got hit in the morning. Bill Ackman does not like this company either. Yeah, still down 9%. Nvidia 140 back to being green, and then Palantir 107.33 still being green. We do have the Michigan survey at 10 a.m. So that'll be important. A couple other pieces of macro data. So Canadian retail sales data fell in January. Retail sales in Canada went down by about 0.4%. The Germany 10-year bond fell below 2.5%. Japan's inflation hit a 2-year high, which means Japan might raise rates again, which would be good for the US dollar coming down, which would be good for international companies like Grab, Mercado Libre, NuBank, et cetera. US natural gas prices rose the highest in 2 years. So that was up about 13%. And the UK manufacturing sector contracted the most in 14 months. Their PMI fell to 46.4 from 48.3 in January. Below 50 means you're contracting. Above 50 means you're expanding. They are well below 50 for February of 2025. And then in the United States, the S&P Global US Composite PMI fell sharply to 50.4 from 52.7. So we are seeing some stagnation in the private sector in the United States. The other part of the United States economy that is weakening, which I think the bond market is starting to warm up to, is government spending. I mean, the IRS seems like they're going to lose about 6,000 jobs as of reports that were filed yesterday. It does seem like Trump is getting ready to give severance out to a lot of government employees, and they're going to be losing their jobs. And I think the macro implications of this are really going to be interesting because let's just imagine 30, 40,000 people lose their jobs from the government. Where do they go? Right? Like, do they go to the private sector? Are there even enough jobs in the private sector? The JOLTS data says we have 8 million jobs available, but is that real? Like, is that actually true? So if you have, 50,000 people lose their jobs in the government and they have severance for maybe 7-8 months to survive, and then they need to get a job, they're probably not going to get a job again at the government. So they're going to go to the private sector. If they can't find a job in the private sector, they're just not going to have the disposable income to spend in the economy, which means, guess what? We're going to get rate cuts. Celsius right here up 27%. The question is going to be, are those rate cuts going to be actually good for stocks if the economy slows down, if GDP growth slows down, which means inflation will slow down, which is like good. But if growth slows down and inflation slows down, do we get even if it's not a recession, do we get some level of pain in the broader economy, which creates pain in the stock market? I think we're going to have to find out eventually how this plays out. McDonald's has jobs. Yes, McDonald's does have jobs, but I don't know if they have enough jobs to handle that many people. Also, I don't think a government employee is going to want to work at McDonald's. That's just, I don't know, dude. I really wonder we don't know the impacts of what this is going to look like. Now, it's going to cut costs, which is going to be good for the 10-year, which theoretically is good for stock market investors as equities become more attractive when bond yields go down. But for the general economy, if people don't have their jobs and they're not going to learn to code, for example, or they're not going to work at McDonald's, right? Like what's going to happen? I don't know. I don't think any of us know. And I think that's a conundrum that 2026 is going to have to probably deal with at a deeper level. So I think we're going to have to see. We're really, really going to have to see. Also, a lot of government workers, the other argument is like, you know, what exactly can they do outside of working for the government, right? And that's not against government workers. That's to any job. Like if you've been doing one thing your whole life and you have to do something different, there's an adjustment period of like, what are you going to do, right? This is the whole idea of Uber drivers that would get replaced by robotaxis. Like if that's what you've been doing for 20 years, pivoting off that is not an easy thing to do. And that's a moral and a philosophical and obviously economic issue that the government's going to have to deal with figuring out. And I don't think Elon or Trump really have any answers to that right now. Tesla 351, Grab still holding on to $5, Hood 56.50, SoFi down 15.32, down 1.5. Palantir went red like 7 times today, but it is red again at 106. Most of those are probably fake drops. Yeah, I think out of the 8 million jolts that are available, a lot of people are thinking those are not real. Well, we're going to find out if they're, because if people are ready to apply for those jobs, they should be able to get those jobs filled. But if those jobs are ghost jobs, then they're not going to get filled, which means we're going to see unemployment go up. And it's going to be one of those things where it'll become pretty evident that those jobs were never real in the first place. Why is Amazon dipping? You know, I was actually talking to a really big Amazon bull last night. Like it's like 40% of his portfolio. And I was asking him, like, is Amazon a buy right here? And he was like, no, it's not a buy because the earnings were good. They were not great. And the Mag 7's getting a bit of a beating right here. Like the market's not ready to give the Mag 7 love. It's not like 2024, at least not the first 2 months of 2025, where the market's just like hand over fist buying the Mag 7, which actually is, you know, not really bullish for NVIDIA, because even if they put up good numbers, just given the sector that they're in, will there be enough institutional exposure to rotate back into NVIDIA? Like I guess the question is, could one Mag 7 outperform the others by the end of the year? Now, so far, Meta is playing out that thesis, but it's very early in the year. But that's another reason why Amazon's down. It's just like Amazon's up a lot from the lows, and the market might be thinking that there's not as much room to run towards the end of this year. Is it down in sympathy with Walmart? That's a good point. I didn't think of that. Walmart lowered their expectations for gross profit. I mean, Walmart's a consumer company, down another 2% today. I mean, but part of the reason we sold off yesterday, people were thinking, was because of Walmart. So maybe Amazon's kind of following in suit with that as well. Are you adding HIMS? I am not adding HIMS, at least not today. HIMS right here, down about 20%, 19.5%. Celsius still holding on to 27%. Palantir going red again. NuBank still down 13. Walmart 95.29 right here. What else? Is anyone in the chat that works for the government? Put in the chat if you work for the government, or if you have family that works for the government. And I mean, if you feel comfortable sharing, is anyone in the chat like taking the severance package and like saying sayonara to Trump's government? I'd be curious, like, if anyone here has any actual plans on how you're kind of navigating the whole situation. I believe severance, from what Elon said, is going to be about 8 to 9 months. So there will be about 8 to 9 months of pay, and then that's going to be the majority of severance. I'm a Fed. I'm not a Fed. The government works for me. That's true. The government does work for us. Costco, are we green? We are red on the cost. Yo, here's another question. Would you rather buy Netflix or Disney at these prices? Someone said they would rather buy Disney over here than Netflix. And I'm like, I don't know, bro. I get it. I get that Disney's obviously cheaper than Netflix. Not even from a price perspective, but from the metrics, like their PE, price of sales, etc. Like Disney's PE is 36. Netflix PE is 51. Netflix price of sales is 11. Disney price of sales is 2. I still feel I'd rather buy Netflix over Disney, bro. I'd rather buy Netflix over, if I had to pick. John says, I work for the state government. It doesn't affect us. That's fair. Some of you guys work at the DOD. I do not work for Doge. It's not what I do. Even though they are hiring a bunch more people, dude. The Doge is hiring a lot of young and talented people to work for them here. Netflix should do a stock split. I agree. I wouldn't buy Netflix here, but if I had to pick between them and Disney, I just believe more in Netflix than Disney. I think Disney's content, their IP, is largely becoming irrelevant to the vast majority of people. And my kids, I don't think are going to care about Disney. Now, I know a lot of people here have nostalgia towards Disney. So do I. And the parks business is great, but I just wonder how long that nostalgia without any innovation in terms of the content can actually last when it comes to Disney. All right, let's get some updates from the street, and then we'll keep going from there.
Being watched very closely. We're 30 minutes into the trading session. Here are three big movers that we are also watching closely. United Health under pressure. The Journal reporting that the DOJ has launched an investigation of the company's Medicare billing practices. We're going to have much more on this and the fallout in just a moment. And you can see shares are now down 9%. Alibaba shares jumping again after earnings yesterday. Reports now that GameStop CEO Ryan Cohen has increased his personal stake in the Chinese tech giant to roughly 7 million shares. That's worth about $1 billion. Baba sent the Hang Seng higher overnight too, and it's now up, get this, a whopping 60% since the start of the year. Also, watch the travel names today. Booking Holdings gaining on strong numbers. Room nights, gross bookings, and revenue all up double digits year over year. Strong international travel demand was really the big driver there. You can see those shares are up about 4.5%.
Waiting on Michigan consumer sentiment a few moments ago. We'll get to that. Actually, 64.7 we have now is pretty much in line with actually just slight miss from 67.8 expectations. We're going to couple that with the services PMI. Existing, Diana Olick's got that. Hey, Diana.
Hey, Carl, that's right. Existing home sales in January fell 4.9% month to month to a seasonally adjusted annualized rate of 4.08 million units. That is a much steeper decline than the street was expecting. Sales still 2% higher.
People aren't buying homes as much. Those rates, especially mortgage rates, just have to come down.
In January of 2024, but that's not saying much given the levels right now. This read is based on closings, so contracts likely signed in November and December when mortgage rates actually came down from over 7% to the 6% range. Rates are now higher again. Inventory increased 3.5% for the month, up 17% from a year ago, but still at a very low level, just a 3.5-month supply at the current sales pace. That is keeping pressure on prices. The median price of a home sold in January was $396,900, up 4.8% year over year. That is the highest price ever for January, and all four regions saw price gains. All cash sales at 29%, which is kind of historically high, but down from 32% the year before. First-time buyers still struggling at 28% of sales, same as a year ago, but historically, they usually make up 40% of buyers. Back to you guys.
All right, Diana Olick, thank you. Capping off a interesting week, we'll say, for housing data. To one of the big stock stories of the day, though. United Healthcare shares sinking on the Journal report that the DOJ is investigating the company over Medicare billing practices. Other health insurers are also getting hit. You can see on your screen right there, down in sympathy. Bertha Coombs is here with what investors should know. Bertha.
Morgan, the Justice Department is reportedly pursuing a civil fraud case against United Health for overbilling in Medicare Advantage. That, according to the Wall Street Journal, citing unnamed sources. Now, the issue surrounds what's known as risk adjustment payments in Medicare Advantage plans. Sicker patients with multiple conditions incur higher risk adjustment reimbursement payments to plans. The idea being that you're getting paid to keep patients healthier. But an HHS Inspector General report last year found that higher risk diagnoses that weren't supported by actual care resulted in $7.5 billion in overpayments in 2023 to the top 20 Medicare Advantage plans. And that was the second report in 5 years. Both reports recommending better oversight over this program. Now, Scott Fidel of Stevens notes that overpayments have been a perennial source of contention between insurers and regulators, and the Biden administration clawed back overall rates to account for that. While RBC's Ben Hendricks says he's skeptical of today's stock move on unnamed sources. Now, United Health hitting back in a statement against the Journal, saying
the thing about United Health that I think is going to be really important to watch out for is how they handle the investigation, because whatever the DOJ finds is going to either prove or deny the sort of general consensus that people have, which is that anecdotally, they have been given horrible experiences when it comes to getting approved or not approved, your out of network, inter-network for their healthcare needs, right? Which ultimately comes down to the fraud that Bill Ackman is talking about in regards to billing. United Healthcare is a big part of the Dow Jones. It is one of the 30 stocks in that in that index. So the United Health being down 10% right here, definitely weighing on the Dow Jones. Nvidia is going red at 140, Pounters at 106. We got Applied Digital up about 12%. That was up 20%. NuBank down about 14%. And then we got Archer. That's up 1% on the day. Speaking of NuBank, let's bring on a friend of the show who can give us a little bit of insight into what's going on with NuBank here today. Tannor, what's up?
What's up, man? NuBank, yeah, it's a fun one. So essentially, NuBank, what we're end up seeing here is a company that continues to grow quarter after quarter after quarter, and becoming one of the largest financial institutions worldwide. They have 114.2 million users as of the end of Q4, so that will have continued to grow. They essentially grew by 2 SoFis last year. So they grew 20 million new customers. And the sell-off is really because of massive foreign exchange headwinds. So my question to you is sort of like, how do you weigh a company that might be financially underreporting, and that could probably continue over the next 42 months, or 24 months, but underneath their KPIs are doing extremely well. So customers are coming on, they are getting stickier, primary banking relationships are growing, they are bringing more products over to NuBank. They are like, as the countries that they're in, which is Brazil, Mexico, and Colombia, these people are getting more GDP per capita, they're living a little bit longer, they're going more digital. How do you weigh the sways in FX versus the longer standing tailwinds that these countries are seeing?
Well, what exactly is the sway? Is it that Brazil's government is suppressing their currency? Or can you explain kind of what exactly is playing out?
Yeah, they're trying to tighten a little bit because they don't want to get into bad inflationary environment, or they are just trying to make their country just a little bit more fiscally responsible. And the problem is that you see 2 different camps. One, analysts that are saying, okay, this is good, but it's not good enough. And 2, well, why are we doing anything? The party was just getting started. But yet, this is the same thing that we're seeing in America. It's like, okay, well, if we hold out, companies are probably going to do good because the currencies will do well. But then in the longer term is that your country is probably going to, face some default going into the future.
So, I mean, what do you think it's a buy down 15% if an investor has the patience to deal with the currency headwinds? Because I feel I feel like it is a buy if you believe in the overarching thesis. You just have to be patient around Brazil.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that you need to look at whenever looking at NuBank is there's 2 different things. So here, let me show you. Whenever you're going through the slides, and you can do this on your own, but they try to make it just a little bit easier. One, all the statistics that NuBank ends up showing are all in US dollars. So although they're a Latin American business, they make it US GAAP, right? So everything's in US dollars. They use US accounting. But what you're seeing here is the monthly RPACs actually starting to go down. But on an FX neutral basis, they still continue to climb. Okay, so internally, they're doing okay. The Brazilian people are not noticing that NuBank is feeling pressures. Okay, but what you're going to see is that some of these statistics that you end up going through is just a little bit weaker on purchase volume, just a little bit weaker on their portfolio, just a little bit weaker, on essentially a lot of statistics that versus the dollar, they just got crushed.
Right.
But overall, I am extremely bullish on this company, not for, this year, potentially even next year. But as you know, I'm looking for a company over the next 10 years. And NuBank has zero reason for me to believe that they're going to slow down at all.
Tannor, let me get your take on some of these other fintechs and see what you're thinking here. Obviously, SoFi down about 2%, really has consolidated nicely, in my opinion, from 14 to 16, but hasn't really been able to break above 16. Do you think the street's just waiting for the next quarter given management sandbagged and they just want to like see a beat and raise, and that's what will move the stock.
I honestly, it's very weird what I think Wall Street is thinking about SoFi. That me and them have never seen eye to eye, so I'm not sure. I think that people get really confused with SoFi. I think that 2025, there's been a lot of quarters where I've covered that company and I've said, oh, you know what? We need to wait for the second half of this year. We need to wait for the next year. For SoFi now, it's happening right now. Q1 is going to be exciting. Q2 is going to be exciting. The rest of the year is going to be exciting. So 2025, I'm super bullish on. And the stock is already up a decent amount. Like we've seen essentially 100% over the last short period of time, but we just sort of drew down from the $18 marks.
So at 15, you think if anyone wants to DCA, it's a nice consolidated. I don't think this thing's going back to 11 or 12.
Yeah, I would say that if you're DCAing, if you have a long-term perspective on this company, this is a growing brand for sure. I'm currently not buying SoFi, but I have a massive position in that company already.
You bought a ton at 7 already, right? So,
yeah.
Yep. Celsius, you've been bullish on this name before, right?
I'm drinking a Celsius right now.
Okay, so
you like that?
Is that an Alani or is that a Celsius?
Yeah, you like the joke? That's a.
Oh yeah, there you go. Isn't that a woman's drink though?
Yeah, but if my girlfriend buys, I mean, it's not giving me estrogen. Like, if my girlfriend buys Alani's, I still get to have some.
Is it good? Is like better than Red Bull? Like, have you?
No, it's not better than Red Bull, but I really like Red Bull. But it's an energy drink, and it's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't give me estrogen. That was a good one, bro. That was a good joke. That was a good one. Okay, so this stock up 30%. You think it deserves to be up on this acquisition news?
I mean, I don't follow this name very closely, like at all. I thought it was an interesting play. I heard some other people's opinions on, if your only way to survive is buy out the competition. I mean, I get that. I see how that's not strong, but I don't follow them closely enough to know the intricacies. I'm sure both brands benefit from being a part of the same parent company.
Okay, why do you think Hood gave back its earnings pump?
I mean, probably a little bit of, crypto headwinds, stuff like this. I think they are going to be trading really in line with if Bitcoin sees any sort of drawdown or stagnation, that they're going to be coming down a little bit. But I really like the really long-term name for Robinhood. They are growing like crazy. And I think that this quarter is not just going to be about the brokerage side, but also the banking side. So like I found that, what do you call it? The job posting that they were looking at. Internal targets for Robinhood is that they want to grow their banking platform by 5x this year. 5x.
Yeah, let me pull that. So Tannor found some. If you're not following Tannor on Twitter, I'll put his Twitter right here in the chat. He found some really good stuff here. So this is head of engineering banking platform at Robinhood. Prepare for scale. We are targeting 5x growth in 2025. You'll be the one ensuring that our systems and talent are ready. What do you? But they don't have a banking charter. So what do you think banking platform means?
Well, it's exactly what I wrote. So they said it. I just didn't share it in that screenshot. But they call their banking platform anything that has to do with credit card payments, transactions, and money movement.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and then on the Platinum desk, this is really interesting. So some people got a little confused by the way I wrote it. I wasn't saying, oh, there's a new thing called Platinum. We've known about Platinum, but it's about what services or what type of tier that this is going to be. And really what I think it is that this is just going to be white glove customer service for users that now what it says here is help our most active customers with some of their most complex issues. So does this mean that they are going to be charging a higher tier, or do you think that this could be a volume based tier?
Right.
If you do enough transactions, if something along volume is what I'm actually starting to think it might actually be.
Right.
But, going back to NuBank really quick, just while you have this up.
Yeah.
NuBank fell down to $10 or so. I think it was actually 10.15, something around there, not too long ago. And I didn't actually end up buying that dip because if you just look up, US dollars to Brazilian reals, the chart is crazy. Like the FX headwinds are completely real. So we knew going into this quarter that they were going to face some pressures. However, that's starting to recover a little bit for Q1. But honestly, just as a write-off, you can, essentially look at this like they could potentially have long-term pressures versus United States dollars over the next 24 months. That's essentially what I'm going to write in. The next 2 years is going to be a little bit bumpy. But while they're doing that, consider them growing an additional, over 24 months, 40 million new customers, 45 million new customers. That is a very exciting place for them to be. And if, for example, the currency risks turn the other way, which they have seen in their company history, they are going to see massive tailwinds on the business going forward. So I'm super excited for them, but in the medium to long term.
No, I think that's fair. I think that's a very fair point. And no one can deny their growth. I think that's the other exciting thing about NuBank. They are the definition of a growth company.
And now their big priority for 2025 is getting out of just financial services. So they offer telecommunication products like eSIMs, and they are cheaper than the competitors because they can say, hey, if you have a certain amount of assets under management with us, we can offer you a better monthly rate than what you're seeing at the actual, telecom businesses.
Hims, you're not in this name, right?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not in any pharma companies. I'm sure Hims will do fine. I just, I don't know anything about the space, so I try to stay in my own lane there.
Okay, Chris said to call him while Tanner's. Chris, I'm sending you the StreamYard so you can join while Tanner's here. He wants to add something on NuBank. Tannor, so you just went to Chris. I'm sending to your WhatsApp. You just went to Vegas. How was that experience? Because you got to go to Investor Day for Shift 4.
Shift 4, baby. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Getting to meet the management, honestly, is like such an amazing experience. I don't mean for Shift 4. I mean for any company. Being able to actually walk up to the people that are doing the certain things at the company that you think are very interesting, and seeing how their mind works, seeing the types of ideas that they're covering is like, it's honestly like cheating. Like, I mean, honestly, I have so much more respect for Shift 4. The stock, they really didn't like the Investor Day, or especially the guidance that they gave. But Shift 4 continues to execute over and over and over. And to be honest, Wall Street has never understood this name.
Yeah.
And yet they have executed and have been one of the best performing fintechs in the entire stock market since they went public in 2021.
Do you did they was their event in Vegas kind of, did they show off? There was, like, you and I were at the Robinhood event together. Did they kind of show off their 10-year vision or something?
Yeah. I mean, not the same way that Robinhood did, but they obviously showed off some guidance for 2025. They did a midterm, so 2027 guide. They want to continue to compound at a 33% rate through to 2027. There was, the weird thing is, honestly, I think the real story that people need to cover is what's going to happen with the company now that management is essentially leaving. The founder of the company, I don't think is going to come back.
Yeah.
So Jared Isaacman started this company when he was 16 years old. He's going to get confirmed as the head of NASA, appointed by Trump. And he is the brainchild. He is a little mini Elon Musk, and seeing him go is like, a really scary place to be. So it's a little bit of a key man risk for them. But the person that's taking over the business has been there for a very long time, Taylor Lauber. And Jared Isaacman also said that he's not going to step away fully. He's still going to play an advisory role, and his equity in the business is going to stay the same. So he still is, the largest shareholder in the company, and, going to be financially rewarded or punished if the company doesn't hit its goals.
Okay, before Chris joins, I want to get your perspective as well on Square. So you used to be a big Square bull. You got out of the stock right when Steve got in it, so that's why it's falling.
Yeah.
Why did you get out of it in the first place?
The Cash App just stopped growing. So they they got up to about 57 million customers. And then they said, okay, well, we're going to have some problems growing Cash App users, but we're going to now start to full on bank them. Okay, so not just for money movement or for transactions, we want to take direct deposit. We want to offer them loans. We want to do everything that essentially SoFi is doing, but with 57 million users. And they're saying they're on the path to do this, but we're just not seeing it in the numbers. And then you just see all the Dorsey things that you get whenever you buy, Block, where it's just complete, like, no focus in the business, whether they're working on like Bitcoin mining chips or, they're just all over the place. They have a music company title. They have, their Bitcoin activity. They have Cash App. They have Square. They want to do sort of a dual-sided network, but the way that they're going about it, I don't even like. They want to like really localize it and connect local Cash App people with local sellers. Well, that's going to take an extremely long period of time if you're going neighborhood by neighborhood trying to set up these Square sellers to work with the Cash App people and advertise in a very local way. I lost the vision. Cash App didn't continue to grow. Jack Dorsey comes with all the Jack Dorsey risks. That's honestly like the key man risk of Jack Dorsey is whether or not he's still going to be at the company. And so, yeah, I'm glad I sold. I sold at a great time, and won't be back.
All right, let's get Chris on here. Continue a little bit on NuBank. Chris, NuBank, do you agree with what Tannor is saying here?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I just wanted to add a couple of things. I really had to listen to the conference calls, and man, when they do their conference calls, that thing is like huge. They go through everything.
It's
and
long.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's very detailed, and it actually explains a lot of things. One of the things that actually was very positive was that their NPLs were actually going lower. So, usually when we are looking at a company like NuBank, they issue a lot of credit out there. And one of the things that you always have to keep an eye on is how much of the money is going into NPLs, which is non-performing loans. That coming down was actually very bullish for me. And then also they're prioritizing, at least from what I saw, a little bit of more on doing secured loans rather than doing unsecured stuff. So in terms of like total security on the capital, that's a much better place to be, So I think a combination of the currency headwinds and some of that transition is probably going to weigh on them in the very short to medium term. But you can already see the FX headwinds resolving themselves already in Q1. So it was almost like if you looked at Q4, it was nothing but a line from the Brazilian real to USD up and to the right. So the entire time they're getting killed on FX. But what's interesting is now it's actually going in the reverse. So it's almost like what was a headwind in Q4 is actually a tailwind in Q1. So I added to the position. I think overall, I think it's a great business. They're still growing. Mexico and Colombia are growing pretty fast as well. They've got so much depositor cash sitting on their balance sheet. It's a very well-run business. Very well-run business.
Chris, what do you think about, like you said, it's the currency exchange is more of a tailwind in Q1 of 2025. And like literally the peak was like December 31st. Like it literally stopped at Q4 and started going down in Q1. But do you see that continuing to happen, or can it, start to head the other way again?
No. I mean, the other thing is so there's two things in effect here. One is the dollar strengthening, right? Like we had this regime of dollar strengthening happening, but now you're seeing the US kind of pulling back a little bit. And one of the key goals that the Trump administration has is a weaker US dollar, right? If you lower interest rates here in the United States, that means inherently the dollar is going to weaken because there's going to be less demand out there for this stuff. So when I look at this, I'm like, okay, what are the goals for the government right now? Well, one is to get interest rates lower. Right now, when you look at the Brazilian real versus the US dollar, the Brazilians, in order to keep, their currency from collapsing, had to do some emergency rate hikes, which actually pulled the Brazilian real back down. The next step in all of this is the US side actually getting some inflation out the door, in which case now they're going to have room to cut. And if the US starts to cut, the dollar is going to weaken, right? That is the key that we need to look at. And I think that's something that we'll probably get for 25. And I think these Doge cuts are really, really going to factor in huge in probably Q2, Q3, when we see the numbers starting to really, really make a difference. Because I think the general sentiment among people is that inflation will be sort of, it's sort of sticky right now. But I think with all the cuts happening on the government side, all that basically that liquidity is going to end up getting taken out of the market. In which case now you're going to see the 10-year, and which is also another thing too that they spoke about, which is getting the longer term yields to come down. So all of those things are very bullish for NuBank, who reports in Brazilian reals. Well, they report in US dollars, but they do business in Brazilian reals and pesos and Colombian pesos, I think.
Yeah.
Tanner, you think the market's frothy right now?
I'm sure we see a little bit of that, but I'm continuing to add just because I think that the long-term technological advancements are going to push markets up even higher. I think that we're really in the early inning for AI, cryptocurrency, autonomous driving. I think that Cathie Wood, I don't believe in her trades, but her big ideas have been right going forward, and we really are at like a crazy time where there's so many technological advancements that are going to push businesses to not just make large reform, but also make a lot of money. So I'm adding still, but to what names? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Do any of you think so? PMI came in lower than expected. Housing starts came in lower than expected. Anyone think there's a recession on the horizon, or is technology going to be enough to not have a recession?
I think this is something that I said yesterday. I think it's all about shelter, right? Shelter, if inventory levels start to rise and shelter prices come down, inflation's naturally going to come down, and that's going to give the Fed room to cut. And there's a lot of businesses that basically were used to the lower interest rates because that's what we had for the last 10 years. So their business models have had to adjust. And the way that they've adjusted is by the valuation multiples going down. So there's a lot of companies that could actually do well actually do better in a lower rate environment. Any business that requires a lot of capital up front, they have to pay a ton of money in interest. If you lower interest rates, those interest charges are going to go down, in which case it's going to be a tailwind for them for earnings in the future. So this is where I'd say we're in this very weird state where we kind of need a mild recession just to get us to the point where we can actually strengthen some of our what is it called? Strengthen some of our businesses. So it's a very weird situation that we're currently under.
Yeah. All right. There we go. That is pretty much it.
What did you think of the call, Tanner, about with NuBank?
I mean, not too much new. What I really liked was their 2025 priorities. I thought 2024 was like what they laid out. They kind of were slamming success on. Hitting 10 million Mexican customers already is just insane. Like the rate of growth is crazy. So whenever they say that they're going to prioritize, so a couple things. One, getting out of financial services. I'd like to see how they do offering other products that take on no risk in terms of their loans. So all ads on non-financial services would just be fee-based growth. I want to see how good they are at doing that, considering they have 114 million customers. And then two, their want to go more global. So what does it look like for them getting into Argentina or the United States? Are they able to do that? So United States doesn't seem to be on the roadmap this year, but I do think that'll be 2026. And I think Argentina will be this year because they said that they wanted to grow more, but also in a broader Latin America. So I think that's very exciting.
I thought that move that they did with the telecom company is actually really interesting because what it does is it adds like this ecosystem layer. So if you look at some of their charts, they actually show the number of products that people kind of tie into their ecosystem. So it's almost like, well, you already have this and you already have that, so why not just do this and we'll give you a bigger discount. And same thing with their targeting of higher earners with ultravioletta. I think that was also another interesting thing, because that's also going to provide higher margin in the future, right? So the key for me when I look at this business is, okay, are they growing, but are they growing with profitability? And that's the thing that I think is really, really interesting. I mean, their net income jumped like what, 50% or something
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a crazy, crazy amount of net income growth.
Which their loan to deposit ratio is at 39%.
Yeah.
This is another crazy part for the business right now. If you look at any of the other Latin American banks, they're at like 80, 90%. NuBank is at 39%. If they were to get anywhere where their competitors are and they were to lower their, capital ratios, the profitability would skyrocket. And this is one of the things that they said that they wanted to do was bring in more secured lending. But they said, hey, we're actually not going to be doing more secured lending and replacing that with the existing capital that goes towards unsecured lending. We want to do public payroll loans, but we're going to be replacing what we're usually putting in just treasury bonds. So the NIM could still expand even on products that maybe aren't as profitable as credit cards or personal loans.
Yeah, that was the other thing too. Like they said that we could have kept going with some of our products that do have higher NIMs, but we also have to take into consideration that we don't want to put our customers and lose NPS scores because if we don't perform what we want. So I think they're doing a fair, here's the thing. They can tap themselves and grow even faster, but they know that wouldn't be durable growth, and I like to see that where they understand that, what, the key thing that you have to do is make sure that the customer is happy so that they end up staying long term. You don't want to take on customers that you milk really early on and you make a ton of margin off of them and then they leave your platform forever. It's like, no, I want, and if you look at the other chart, I think it was on slide 4 or 5, where you see the gradual increase in total revenue per user. So usually right now they're getting about 10, but if you look at the cohorts that joined about 2-3 years ago, they're spending about $25 now per month on their platform. So I think that's the key.
That's in US dollars. So you're facing even, foreign exchange headwinds on that. They actually are growing every single quarter on a neutral basis, but
No, it's like I said, the one thing I think that I did, I don't know how much this impacted, but it's their GMV that was flat quarter over quarter. Well, it wasn't flat, but it wasn't that great. That I think a lot of analysts were just like, what?
You mean their purchase volume?
Yeah, their purchase volume.
Was the reason also impacted?
Was that because of the FX?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Makes because it's all in US dollars. So even if you translate it, it still grew on a foreign exchange neutral basis.
Yeah. All right. Definitely got to look at it again then. But overall, I think it's a great business. It's going to keep growing. Mexico is an untapped market. I think they've got a ton of room for growth there, especially considering that I think they even mentioned it, that the credit card penetration rate in Mexico is actually really, really low. So that leaves a huge opportunity for them to actually expand that business over there.
Let me ask this question. NuBank, Grab, Mercado Libre, are we all searching too much for emerging markets trends and we should just stick to the States? Or how are you philosophically thinking of that dynamic?
I mean, look, the reason why you want to look outside the States sometimes is because there's a lot of saturation here in the US. So the competition is really, really strong, especially in this specific sector, banking. So if you're looking at outsized gains and returns, you're looking for disruptors, companies that are out there that provide goods and services that customers can't find anywhere else, because that means that the cost of entry for you to get new customers is actually really low, and you're actually disrupting local incumbents who've become soft and old, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at Brazil, the banking system over there was very outdated, and so these guys came in and said, we're going to provide the best services, we're going to provide all of these services that are basically everyone is craving, and we're going to do it a very efficient way. That's why they were able to gain so much market share. It's the same thing in Mexico that they're applying. So it's like, oh, a new bank coming out in the United States, congratulations. There's 1,000 banks in the US. the amount of money that a bank would have to spend just to get into the market here is enormous. They wouldn't see profitability for a decade. These guys came in within a decade, they're already generating billions of dollars in free cash flow. So I think the key is you want to use companies with leadership that's based in technology, that the American technology that can be brought, and then incorporate that into the local markets, and that could be a huge opportunity. So as an example, if you look at like companies like Alibaba, right? Alibaba, even though they are a Chinese domestic company, a lot of the ideas that they have came from the US. Same thing with Mercado Libre, and I mean NuBank too. So if you want to have like the next generation of upward movements in total return as a shareholder, you want to look at emerging markets where the valuations haven't caught up and the opportunity is still really, really real there. And they have growing populations with growing GDPs. So
if the US wasn't trading at a 22 times PE on the S&P 500, would you feel the same? Like,
I mean,
it's the expensiveness of our market that's making you want to see other sectors, right?
Well, it's not just that, but you have to also look at which sector we're talking about. If you're in the US, there could be a brand new sector that's out there or a brand new thing, and you just want to stay there. Like, I'm not going to invest in an AI company in Timbuktu, right? Like, I know that AI companies are in America. That's where you want to be, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But with an old business like banking, you want to have someone like NuBank. You want to have these companies. And what also, just to add to one more thing about NuBank, and I'm sure Tannor, you could probably add some insight into this, is that they've gotten to the point where now they've scaled up and they're actually acquiring stakes in other banks outside of their main geographic area, so that this way they can platformize that and basically end up being almost like a connecting bank, giving them and showing them the ropes, so that if that company ends up 10, 20xing, we as shareholders make a ton more money. And the thing that I'm describing is something called Time Bank, which is a growing bank in South Africa and Philippines. So NuBank made a strategic investment in them, right? So it didn't cost NuBank a lot of money, but if they end up doing really well, now all of a sudden your money, or at least shareholders' money, ends up getting like rewarded exponentially. So yeah.
They're following the roadmap of every successful company that has been seen in the United States, and now they're taking to a market that's just completely untapped. And it's very exciting what NuBank is doing. The thing that I want to highlight is that it's nowhere close to being done, and they do have such an opportunity in all of Latin America and then in other geographies as well. Whether that's acquiring stake in Time Group or going there themselves, they are looking to return a good shareholder value for NuBank shareholders, which actually Chris was the person that got me into it however long ago, whenever it was $3 a share. So
yeah, I thought you got Chris into it.
No, it was an off comment that he said a really long time ago, and he said that why should I buy SoFi whenever there's companies like NuBank? And I was like, what's NuBank? And I just started looking at it and ended up buying it. I was like, Chris, you could not have been more right. This company is amazing.
I think what it was is I saw an interview with David Velez, and I actually saw what the company's metrics were at the time. So then I started messaging Tannor. We went about it. I think we actually did an episode on one of the weeklies things that you had with Tannor, not Tannor, with what's his name?
The Stock Tank. It was our little deep dives into companies, or not deep dives, more just like first view.
And so it was a very interesting. But I'm telling you, the leadership at NuBank is solid. Like, they know what they're doing. They have some really, really talented engineers. They know the system very well. They understand the customer, and I think. And they have like this Silicon Valley mindset that it's really, really hard to find that Silicon Valley mindset in other places around the world. And once you get in that, it's there. I think they have like this disruptive streak that's just going to keep going and going,
Okay, last question for you guys. I asked this question on Twitter yesterday because I do think we're in a different market from 2023, 2024, and finding a stock that can double in, forget 1 year, but even 2 years is not that easy. It's just a different market environment. So what are a couple stocks, and same question for the chat, that you think can double in the next 2 years?
Alibaba. There's no doubt in my mind it's Alibaba, bro.
You think Baba's 300 by 2027?
Easily, bro. Even your boy Dan Ives came in. They are the biggest game in town in terms of cloud AI over in China. And now that the government has basically unleashed these guys out into the world, bro, this company's gonna do some real fucking damage. So I don't know. Alibaba seems like the one to really look at if you're talking about like really big companies, you know.
Okay, Tanner, you have a pick?
I don't think I have a screaming name right now. I think the market is changing. I'm buying like companies that I'm looking at will outperform the S&P, but not necessarily find multi-baggers right now. So right now, I like buying Nvidia, Google, Amazon. I'm going to be buying the dips on NuBank or a couple other. If SoFi gets down into the 14s again, I'll probably acquire some more shares. Shift4. I'm just doubling down on what I already know. And I think that these are just solid compounders over time. I'm not necessarily looking for screaming buys or I just find they're really hard to find right now. It is a different market.
I agree. I think that's why we're looking at Grab, NuBank, Mercado Libre. All of us are trying to find what is that next buy. And like, obviously we can keep adding to Palantir, SoFi, et cetera, but to expect the
don't
move-
forget about the cruise lines. Come on, man.
No, they're getting taxed to death. They're not going to survive.
I have forgot about the cruise lines, Chris.
I know. And I came on your podcast and gave you the cruise lines too, man.
Only Chris Patel could make cruise lines interesting enough for people to care about.
I mean, bro, I'm about making money. I don't care what it is. You have this giant business. All these old people, all they want to do is freaking retire and go see the world. Cruise lines are a perfect way to do that, man. Boomers got money. And now with lower interest rates, all that debt that they have on their balance sheet becomes easier to service. More of that money goes into the EPS. I mean, cruise lines look boring from the outside, but they are generating tons and tons of cash flow. And that cash flow is eventually going to make its way to shareholders' pockets. So that's why you want to be in the cruise lines. The other thing is, even with this whole thing about taxing the cruise lines, bro, they have a really, really strong lobby that pays both Republicans and Democrats. That tax bullshit is not going to go through. All right. It'd be too hard on them. And bro, I already have pictures of Trump on cruise lines. Okay. Just waving. So it's not going to go through.
What about Rocket Lab? You guys think that one can double in 2 years?
No comment.
No comment.
Why do you guys hate Rocket Lab so much, bro? Like this, it's Rocket Lab. It's space. Why are you guys against it?
You know what's so funny is like whenever I was first investing, the first company I ever bought was Tesla in 2015. Okay. I felt like I could see the future. And by the way, I never held on to it. I sold it. I made like $20. That was like the first trade I ever made. But what's it called? Now I feel like I'm too old. I cannot see the space companies anymore. I can't see the 3D printing companies. I need to see more real like financial impacts for these businesses before I can buy them. I'm getting old now.
Wow. If there's one space company that I think could actually do very, very well, I'm not talking about like a 2x or 3x. I'm talking about like 10, 15, 20x. ASTS. All right. They are direct competitors.
Hold on. Doesn't your boy Matt hate this company?
I'm sure he does, but ASTS, in my opinion, could one day pick off pennies from every single cell phone provider on the planet. Okay. And once you add up all those pennies, they could be something significant. So I think right now we're in the early stages, but if your time horizon is like a few years, then, probably not going to be that great. But if you're looking at like 10, 15 years, it might be really big thing, Another area that I'm looking at is like the LNG terminals, the liquefied natural gas terminals, getting in on them at a good valuation right now. I think the future is LNG. So I want to be in it.
All right. So actual last question, and I'm going to put Tanner's Twitter and Chris's Twitter right here in the chat. So please make sure to check them out. And Chris, before you answer this as well, please just say something about SMCI real quick because people are dying to know. What are your top 5 holdings currently right now in your portfolio?
Who, me?
Yeah, both of you.
I'll start. I have Google. I have Norwegian Cruise Lines. I have Carnival Cruise Lines. I've got NuBank, Venture Global, Next Decade. See what else. Let me see. The Brookfield preferred, like property partners preferreds. I have like a ton of that, and then I just have a whole bunch of what are they called? I have Grab too. I have a lot of Grab actually.
How many names was that? I felt like that was more than 5.
I was like, I think I had 10. I've had 10, yeah.
And then Chris, just say something about SMCI because everyone wants to know something from you.
I think their 10K is gonna come out sooner or later, man.
They
And then
did the 8K today.
Huh? They did
The
an
8K
8K?
came today. Yeah.
What was their 8K? Let me see.
I mean, it came out.
See, the thing that worries me. So one of the things I did is I sold half of my short-term spreads that I had for June because I made money on it. So I was like, bro, I'm not gonna risk my principal. So I took all my principal out. So now I'm just letting the profit ride. And if it does, I'll end up doing really well on it. But this is one of those things. I just took risk off the table. The last thing I want to do is them publish what is that thing called? Oh shit, the 8K confirms the convertible shares closed. Holy shit, that means that the fucking 10K is definitely gonna come out because there's no way they would have closed on that without all right, let me do some research. Is that real or y'all just fucking with me?
No, that's real, dude. It came out this morning.
Okay. So here's the thing. Bondholders are 10 times, maybe even 100 times smarter than shareholders. So if the bondholders actually closed on the deal and the conversion price is 91, then this fucking 10K is going to come out. Otherwise, they wouldn't take that much of a risk.
I love how he's cursing about this 10K. It's just hilarious. All right, Tanner, you're big holdings right now.
By far, like the I've got 16 names in my portfolio. Top 5 makes up for a severe amount of my portfolio, and that's Nvidia, Shopify, Tesla, Salesforce, and SoFi.
All right, there you go. There you go. All right, Tanner and Chris, thank you for joining the show today. Appreciate it. All their links will be here in the chat. And yeah, everyone loves you guys. They appreciate you guys coming on every day.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
See you guys later. Bye. All right, cool stuff. I'm going to end it early, guys. I think you guys can already sense it in my voice and in my energy that I need to go take some NyQuil and go to sleep. This thing, dude, I've been trying to deal with it all week, but it's up there. I don't want to go to the doctor, dude, and get antibiotics and all that stuff. I feel like it's not that serious. I don't have a fever. I know I've been taking my temperature every day and I'm like at 98, 99. So I think I should be okay. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do a market close today, guys, because I just like the energy is not there. And I can't, I don't know. Every 2 seconds I'm sniffling. It's like, it's probably annoying to listen to. So Tesla right here at 346. I think we will do Pouncer weekly. We probably need to, given the share price action we saw this week and we missed last week. So probably we'll be better by 11 p.m. Eastern and we'll do Pouncer weekly tonight. But yeah, probably no market close today. All right, cool. That is it. I haven't been sick since August 2022. So it's been a while since I've been sick. And I don't even consider, if I was really sick, I would not be able to even be here and talk right now. Like real sick is like, you're just stuck in bed. So I think I'll be okay. But definitely got to get some rest. Thank you for approving my paid time off. It's not paid time off, but it's time off, I guess. So appreciate it. You sick of us? No, I'm not sick of you guys, dude. This is the most exciting thing in the world to do this every morning. If I can't be up to my energy level, it's just, it doesn't feel the best to actually do the show. The only people that are mad are the ones that have to go back to work and not procrastinate by listening to you. Well, it's Friday, dude. Is anyone actually working on Friday? Is anyone actually getting work done on Friday? Everyone's probably ready for the weekend. I feel like it was a long week, but a short week at the same time. But February's done. February is officially done. All right. Word of the day is, dude, what is this word, bro? Why do I get these words? Looks like Ecola. What was it? Ecolia? Echolalia?
Echolalia.
Okay, there we go. I got it. The imitation of sounds by babies as they learn to talk. The baby's echolalia delighted her parents as she mimicked their laughter. The toddler's echolalia of Night Night was adorable. He repeated it every evening after his brother said it. Okay, I guess when I have a kid, I will one day say, wow, that was a cute echolalia. That probably will never happen. But if anyone has kids here in the chat, I don't think you've ever said this word, bro. These are such intellectual ways to describe such basic things. But yeah, that is our word of the day. All right, cool. That's it. Appreciate you, everybody. I will be back Patrick Weekly tonight, and then Sunday, hopefully we're good to go, and we'll be back on the Future Show for Sunday night, and we will officially end out the last week of February, and then get into Q1 2025 starting March. Now, NVIDIA next week, that's going to be really important. So that's going to be the big one. And yeah, then we are done for February. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. I will get some rest. Love you all. See you guys later this weekend. Bye, everyone. Have a good one.